Good morning, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. Today is the 7th day of Adar on the Hebrew calendar, which is both the birthday and the passing day, the yahrzeit of Moshe Rabbeinu, our greatest leader and prophet, who died on his birthday at the age of 120 years old. Tomorrow is Parshat Zachor, a special reading about Amalek, the first nation of anti-Semites who tried to destroy the Jewish people when they left Egypt. But tomorrow on the secular calendar is also known as International Women's Day. And the question is, what is the connection between these three events? And there's a very strong connection. You see, Moshe Rabbeinu was born at a time when Pharaoh decreed that all the baby boys have to be drowned in the Nile. But it was his mother Yocheved who put him in a wicker basket to save his life. And then it was his sister Miriam who stood over the Nile River and watched over him as he floated in the river. And then it was the daughter of Pharaoh, Batya, who had compassion on the baby and rescued him, despite her father's evil decree to drown the baby boys. And it was these three righteous women, two of them Jewish and one not Jewish, who worked together in unison to save the life of this baby in the Nile. And who is this baby? None other than Moses, the greatest Jewish leader, who not only redeemed the Jewish people from slavery, and not only received the Torah from God at Mount Sinai and gave it to the Jewish people, and through the Jewish people to the whole world, but the person who was the greatest human being to ever live, the greatest prophet who spoke to God directly. And once again, this is an example and a tribute to Jewish women. And so it's not by coincidence that International Women's Day follows the 7th of Adar, because there's no greater tribute to women in the Torah than the fact that it was the women who saved the Savior, the Redeemer of Israel, which led to the liberation of the Jewish people from slavery and the receiving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. Everything we are today as a Jewish people, free and with a Torah, is all through Moses. But really the backstory was the women who saved the life of Moses. And having returned from Israel just last week, we saw so much courage and bravery and selflessness and just heroism. But something that's not spoken enough about is the heroism of the women. You know, yes, the men may be on the front lines, but it's the women who are keeping the families strong. All the miluim, the soldiers who are on reservists, who married men who went off for 4, 6, 8 months to fight, to defend Israel, to save Israel. It's the women who are home. It's the women who are home with the children, caring for the families. And when you see the stories of the hostages who we visited, the strength of the women, the mothers who kept the families together, who held on to their faith, who were the voice and the cry for their children, is just remarkable. Mother after mother, wife after wife, women who waited for their husbands to come back, mothers who waited for their sons to come back from captivity, girlfriends who waited for their boyfriends. And the women have really been the leaders in Israel. And there are countless examples of the faith of these Jewish women, just like in the time of the slavery of Egypt. And a matter of fact, Amalek, the first nation to attack the Jewish people, the word Amalek, 4 letters, can be rearranged to spell Rak Me'Hashem, only from God. A Jew, when they face evil, when they face darkness, it's only from God. It's their faith in God that keeps them strong. And that faith has been on display in the most remarkable way in Israel. Just one example was Omer Shem Tov's mother, Shali Shem Tov, who we merited to meet in Schneider's hospital, reunited with her son. And the joy is indescribable of the mother constantly embracing, kissing, and loving her son. But this mother, for 15 months, didn't lose her faith. On the day of October 7th, she went into her son's bedroom, and she saw his bed was not made, and the light was on in the room, and the fan was spinning. And on that day, she said, I will not make his bed. I will not turn off the light. I will not turn off the fan, because I know Omer will come back and he will make his bed. He will turn off the light. He will turn off the fan. And for 15 months, every morning, the first thing she did, Shelley, was go into her son Omer's bedroom, sit on his bed, and pray to God for the safe return of her son. Omer returned 2 weeks ago on February 22nd. But on Friday, the day before he was set to return, she posted on social media her joy and her gratitude that her son is finally returning. But then she said something absolutely remarkable. She said, this Shabbat, February 22nd, 2 weeks ago, is Parshat Mishpatim, the Torah reading of Mishpatim. She said, exactly 1 year ago, on this parasha, on this week, I went to a Shabbaton for families of hostages. And I experienced Shabbat for the first time in my life. And I was so inspired by the warmth and the joy and the love that I resolved then and there I would start keeping Shabbat for the first time in my life. And she said, every Shabbat since then I have kept. And tomorrow, she said, the day my son is coming home is the first anniversary of my starting to keep Shabbat. And she said, there's no chances, there's no coincidences. It's a sign for God that it's in the merit of my faith and my growing in my Judaism that my son is returning to me. But more than that, when her son returned, of course, he told the story how in captivity he started keeping Shabbat for the first time in his life, and how he would find a little juice, a little bottle, and every week he would use it over and over again, taking a little sip to make kiddush that he remembered from his home in captivity. And he found a pretzel that he used as a substitute for challah, and he took the salt off the pretzel to dip the pretzel in salt like the challah in salt. And here was mother and daughter bonded through faith in God. This is the strength of the Jewish people, but more specifically, the strength of Jewish women. This Shabbat, Parshat Zachor, we remember all the enemies who came up against us. As we prepare for the holiday of Purim, we remember another great Jewish woman, Queen Esther, who saved the Jewish people. Let us honor the women in our lives, and Jewish women everywhere, and also the righteous women of the world, like Batya, who rescued baby Moses. Once again, like in the days of the Exodus from Egypt, the women are the strength, the backbone, and the future, and the leaders of our nation. Shabbat Shalom.